Throughout history, the quest for the fountain of youth has driven explorers, alchemists, and philosophers.
Right. We've always been searching for that magic elixir to make us live longer.
But today, the map we're using isn't some old parchment scroll. It's a pile of scientific journals.
We've really pivoted, haven't we? From chasing these mythical cures to methodically building the proven scientific principles of healthy aging.
And it feels more urgent than ever.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just an academic exercise anymore. It's a global necessity. When we talk about human longevity, we have to talk about the sheer scale of it.
What are the numbers looking like?
The World Health Organization estimates that by 2050, we're going to have 2.1 billion people older than 60 on the planet.
2.1 billion. That's a staggering number.
It is. And get this, 1.7 billion of them will be living in low-income countries.
That statistic really frames the challenge, doesn't it? We're living longer, yes. But the goal isn't just to stretch the timeline.
No.
It's to improve the quality of that final third of life.
That's exactly it. And that urgency is why the UN General Assembly declared 2021 to 2030 the UN Decade of Healthy Aging.
So the focus is shifting.
Completely. The focus now is less on cutting-edge, expensive drugs and more on finding interventions that are both highly effective and, this is the key, accessible and affordable worldwide.
Promoting healthier lives, not just longer ones.
Precisely.
Well, that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We've stacked up some truly essential sources, from the Lancet to science and the BMJ, to distill the absolute latest knowledge for you. Our goal is a scientific blueprint.
I like that, a blueprint.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does the cutting edge of biomedical research tell us about slowing down the clock using, well, nothing more complicated than lifestyle choices?
I think we have to begin with the concept that's been the anchor of longevity research for decades, caloric restriction.
Right, CR. We know from all the animal studies, worms, flies, mice, that cutting calories can reduce chronic disease and often increase lifespan.
But the big question has always been, is this safe in humans, in healthy humans? And, how much of a cut do you really need?
Does it have to be drastic to work?
That's where this landmark human study by William Krauss and his colleagues from 2019 gave us the first real answers.
What did they do?
They took young and middle-aged participants, all healthy, all non-obese, and followed them for 2 full years.
Okay. And they were trying to get them to hit a big reduction, right? Like 25%.
That was the target, yes. But in reality, what they actually achieved and maintained was a much more moderate cut.
How moderate are we talking?
The mean reduction was 11.9%.
So just under 12%. That's like taking a large snack or a dessert out of your day. It's not starving yourself.
Exactly. It was a sustainable cut. And the results, they were persistent and really significant.
What did they see?
The CR group saw these major reductions in all the conventional cardiometabolic risk factors we worry about.
Like LDL cholesterol.
LDL, the total cholesterol to HDL ratio, and both systolic and diastolic blood pressure all went down.
That's a big deal for heart health. But what about safety? Maintaining that cut for 2 years, that's always been the concern.
That's the crucial point. The intervention was deemed safe. No serious adverse events were reported.
So this moved the science out of the lab mouse and into, the real world.
It did. It confirmed moderate CR works, and it's safe. But here's where it gets really interesting, digging into the how. A follow-up analysis by Sparrow and colleagues revealed the mechanisms.
It's one thing to see cholesterol drop, but what's happening inside, on a cellular level?
Yes. So the 2 years of moderate CR caused these profound internal changes. First, it promoted something called thymopoiesis.
Okay, you have to break that one down for us. Thymopoiesis.
So think of your immune system as an army. The thymus gland is where your new soldiers, your T cells, are trained.
Right.
As we age, the thymus shrinks and gets less efficient. It stops training new recruits, basically. Thymopoiesis is just the process of generating new T cells.
So the study showed CR was rejuvenating the thymus.
In a way, yes. It promoted its function, helping the body generate new, effective immune cells. A key marker of biological youth.
So you're not just treating a symptom, you're fundamentally shifting the aging process of the immune system.
Exactly. And beyond that, it also induced pathways that regulate mitochondrial bioenergetics.
Which is just how efficiently your cells make energy.
Right. And it activated robust anti-inflammatory responses. It was like flipping on all the known longevity switches inside the cells.
This is key. Because even if a strict CR diet isn't for you long-term, understanding these mechanisms means we might be able to develop interventions, maybe even drugs, that mimic those effects.
That's hope.
All right, let's transition now. We focus so much on what we eat, the macros, the micros. But what about the single most abundant thing we consume? What about just water?
Hydration. It's an area we tend to overlook because it just seems too simple.
Right.
But the study by Demetria Viva and her colleagues is fascinating. They looked at middle-aged people, 45 to 66, and used a really objective marker serum sodium concentration as a proxy for hydration.
Serum sodium, so the salt concentration in your blood.
Exactly. It goes up when you haven't had enough fluid to dilute it. It's a good internal indicator of whether you're, running a bit dry.
And what did they find?
They found a really surprising threshold. Individuals with high normal serum sodium levels, we're talking 142 to just under 146 millimole.
Still in the normal range, but on the high end.
Yes. They had a striking 39% increased risk of developing chronic diseases over the follow-up period.
39%, just from being slightly less than optimally hydrated. That's massive.
It is. The list of diseases was significant too. Heart failure, dementia, chronic lung diseases, stroke.
Wow.
But maybe the most compelling finding was the link to biological age. These same individuals were up to 50% more likely to have a biological age older than their chronological age.
So if I'm hearing this right, just maintaining optimal hydration could be one of the simplest, cheapest, most accessible ways to actually slow the aging process at a cellular level.
The implication is clear. If you're consistently on the upper end of that normal sodium range, your body is chronically trying to conserve water. A proper increase in fluid intake is a simple, actionable step. It's a longevity intervention.
Drink more water. It's that simple. Okay, let's shift focus to energy expenditure. We talk input, let's talk output. Movement.
Right, and for older adults, the big questions are always about the right dose and the right type of activity.
Which is exactly what this Watts et al. Study looked at. It was published in JAMA Network Open.
And the data set was colossal. Over 270,000 participants, all aged between 59 and 82.
And they looked at 7 specific activities.
Yes. Running, cycling, swimming, racket sports, golf, walking, and other general aerobic exercise.
What did they find? Is always better?
Not necessarily. They found a classic curvilinear dose-response curve.
Meaning you get the most bang for your buck early on, and then the returns start to diminish?
Precisely. A moderate range of 7.5 to less than 15 NET hours per week gave the maximum benefit before the curve really flattened out.
So that sweet spot, what does that look like in real terms?
It's roughly 150 minutes of brisk walking, or maybe 75 minutes of running a week. It's very achievable. You get most of the longevity benefits without needing to be a marathoner.
But did any specific sport stand out?
Yes. While any activity was great, some showed measurable advantages. For lowest all-cause mortality risk, the standouts were racket sports and running.
Interesting. What about for specific causes of death?
When they drilled down, racket sports were associated with the greatest reduction in cardiovascular mortality.
Tennis, badminton, things like that?
Right. Things with short bursts of effort, complex movements. And running, on the other hand, was the most effective for reducing cancer mortality.
That is such a clear takeaway for you listening. A moderate amount is great, but if you want to target heart health, maybe pick up a racket. For cancer defense, running has the edge.
And, connecting this to the bigger picture, we can't neglect mental and cognitive health.
Especially for people over 60.
Absolutely. And social factors play a profound, often underestimated role here.
We hear that loneliness is bad for your health. But what does the hard science, the big data, actually say about it?
The Samtani et al. Meta-analysis gave us the clearest view yet. It was the largest to date on this. It synthesized data from 13 cohort studies around the globe.
How many people?
Over 38,000 participants. It's a huge data set.
And what were the tangible cognitive benefits they could tie to social interaction?
They found 2 major factors. First, just living with other people predicted a significantly slower decline in global cognition, memory, and language compared to living alone.
So your environment matters.
It really does. And second, active engagement mattered. Weekly interactions with family and friends, and weekly engagement with community groups. Both predicted slower memory decline.
That's powerful. It's not just avoiding being lonely, it's actively protecting your memory and language function through regular engagement. This really is a call to action for families and communities to offer more group activities.
It's a form of preventative medicine, not just social kindness.
Okay, so we've covered calories, hydration, targeted exercise, and social connection. 4 powerful levers. But the real magic is rarely in one ingredient, is it? It's in the synergy.
Exactly. Healthy aging isn't about single fixes. It's about integrating healthy behaviors. And a 2023 cohort study by Gia and colleagues synthesized this beautifully.
They were looking at long-term memory loss in over 29,000 people older than 60.
That's right. And they basically created a healthy lifestyle score based on 6 distinct factors.
What were the 6?
Okay, they were. 1, a healthy diet. 2, regular physical exercise. 3, active social contact.
The things we've just been talking about.
Yes, and 4, active cognitive activity. 5, being a never or previous smoker. And 6, never drinking alcohol.
And they categorized people based on how many of those they followed.
They did. Participants were grouped as favorable, meaning they had 4 to 6 factors, average with 2 to 3, and unfavorable with 0 to 1.
And the big finding.
The major finding was that both the favorable and the average groups experienced significantly slower memory decline compared to the unfavorable group.
So you don't have to be perfect. Even hitting just 2 or 3 of these makes a measurable difference. That is hugely encouraging.
It is, but the most striking detail of the entire study was that this protective effect held true regardless of apolipoprotein EA4 status.
Okay, stop right there. We have to unpack that phrase. For everyone listening, why is that genetic marker apolipoprotein E4 so important?
Well, ApoE4 is probably the best known and most significant genetic risk factor we have that's strongly associated with memory loss and diseases like Alzheimer's.
So for years, the thinking has been, if you carry this gene, your fate is, well, it's largely set.
That's been the fear. But this study suggests that lifestyle can actually override or at least mitigate a significant genetic vulnerability.
So genetics may load the gun.
But the synergy of these lifestyle choices might just keep the safety on. The risk is still there, but your daily habits appear to offer this profound neurocognitive resilience. It's the cumulative power of small, positive choices working together.
So as we wrap this up, the story is incredibly hopeful.
It is. We didn't find a single magic elixir, but we found a clear scientific blueprint. We have evidence that moderate caloric restriction boosts your internal immune factory.
That simple optimal hydration can slash chronic disease risk.
That targeted exercise like racket sports offers superior cardiovascular protection.
And that social connections fundamentally protect your core memory function.
And the final lesson from that GIA study is that you don't need a massive, perfect overhaul. You need consistency across a few key domains. The aim isn't just to live longer.
It's to improve the quality of that life. Yep. Physical health, mental health.
Exactly. And these lifestyle choices are the most accessible tools we have to promote that.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. The 2 areas that showed the most potent specific benefits were racket sports for heart health and active community groups for cognitive health. Both deeply social activities.
Right. Both involve high levels of social interaction and belonging. So how might that psychological boost of community be interacting with the physiological mechanisms of exercise and diet to create the most potent protective lifestyle combination? Which of those 6 factors, diet, exercise, social, cognitive, smoking, alcohol, are you going to focus on first to build your own blueprint? That's your homework.